I'm going to continue now with what happened for Kamailio project during the last year. So yeah, we have like 24 years of development. We're going to mark it a bit later this year, which means next year is going to be sort of a celebration. We have yeah, quarter of a century with this project under development. More detailed, let's say, timeline for those that are new to the project. And when you search on the net, you see various names for like a SIP proxy, like SIP Express Router or OpenSCR, which is now Kamailio. So they are all related. There are some forking, then merging back. And for quite a long time, it's only Kamailio, marking the last release, which I will have some words about it, happened in January, like major release, because then we have like bug fixes and we do minor releases from each of these series. Everything started here in Berlin at the institute, Fraunhofer Focus Institute, which used to host our event for many years. That space became also unavailable, so we had to move to hotel from last year. So yeah, new in Kamailio, we have this series 6.0. So practically what was supposed to be 5.9 series, we decided to jump directly to 6.0 because there were a couple of major and very important changes. Here I'm listing the new modules. They don't really have the main impact in sorry, shifting to 6.0, but with every major release we have a couple of modules. Quite important would be maybe the support for HTTP2, which is very or necessary for 5G services, for implementing the N5 interface and so on. PVTPL is something that I become used quite a lot, especially when you need to build some document using variables from the config file. So you can have in a file text with Kamailio variables, and then Kamailio will evaluate. So instead of building, for example, a JSON with config operation like concatenating strings, you can put it in a template file, and then Kamailio evaluates, and could be like simpler config or easier to maintain. Support for hash table backend for topos, this topology stripping, like making it to look like a back-to-back user agent. I think it came from 1&1. Lucian is here. From that team. Victor, which is not here, our one of the very active developers and the packager for Debian and Ubuntu, added this present support for device feature key synchronization. And Dragos, which is the initial author of the IMS modules, should be here soon, I guess. Lives in Berlin, but probably had a long party last Sunday, last evening. He contributed this module, but it's about quality of service. Here are the other main feature that I wanted to highlight. Actually, there are many, many more. It's like a couple of pages that you have to scroll in our wiki to see all the enhancement for many existing modules. But what made it us to go for this 6.0 would be this multi-threaded UDP receiving mode. I'll have another presentation where I will focus a little bit more on the transport layer, covering this as well. This is useful when you have a lot of UDP sockets. If you know, Kamailio creates for each UDP sockets a pool of processes. And then this could reach limits like MySQL connection or use too much memory. And sometimes for a socket, you don't have much traffic that worth having these processes. And now you can say, okay, for these sockets, create a single process and threads to read from the socket, which will push in a memory queue and will be a single pool of processes handling that. A little bit similar to what TLS, TCP handling it's done. And you can mix it. So for a socket, you can stay with the former or the classic multi-process. And with other sockets, you can switch to multi-threaded UDP receiving mode. The internal libraries are linked directly to the core. There were dynamic libraries before, but it was more complex to package and load time and dependencies on some systems. So they are still in their own folder, but at the compile time, they are linked directly. From Xenophon, we got this new build system, which is like an alternative, but we want to switch to it. It was quite some work, but it's more modern and should be easier for the future to maintain because our old makefiles got quite complex to support many compiler versions and so on. Alexander helped quite a lot when we did developer meetings in Düsseldorf, hosted by SIP Then you can also specify a range of UDP socket ports to listen on, so you don't have to put like 10 listen if you have ports one after the other. Sometimes when you, I don't know, connect all PBXs, you might need to listen on different ports for, I don't know, firewall rules or other things. Now you can say listen from 5060 to 5090 and it will be like 30 sockets created by Kamailio. Quite some work on HTTP support for HTTP2 also on client side and supporting more methods to be more flexible there. A lot of new variables, many related to SDP, PTR query for the IP ops module, ability to load in the DNS cache from a file, so not only with mod params. So you can run in some situation Kamailio with its own DNS cache and everything preloaded. And also kind of Kamailio can act a little bit like an HSS now for mobile networks for authentication to generate this authentication vector for AKA, which is specific for SIM-based authentication. This is the old stable. It was actually covered last year. I just kept the slides to highlight that we maintained the last two stable version of Kamailio, like series. Now it's 6.0 and 5.8. So I'm not going over the details. They were presented last year. It's still a maintained series, so if you use it, it's no problem. Bug fixes are going into it. In the ecosystem, to come to a wrap, we did again our developers meeting at SIPGate in Düsseldorf. Probably we'll do it again this year. Usually it's November, late, maybe October sometimes, depending how it fits and not overlap with other events there, and also have developers available for traveling. It's a nice event to be, so we sit in the room, they take care of everything like drinks, food, social event in the evening, and we brainstorm, discuss code, like, code for Kamailio or documentation, so it's a nice event. Then being discussed for many years, the options, how we can collect some funding to cover some, let's say, infrastructure, but not only, maybe to fund some projects like developing for Kamailio. Thanks to Victor Seva that spent time on looking the options. An option was to make a foundation, but requires quite some bureaucracy with, people to take care of it, manage the accounting for it. So this seemed like a best option with Open Collective. We could get like a European-based fiscal host that can take care of it. We just started We got some funds there already, but no expense yet. We have to figure out in our core developers group, management group, how this goes on. Another new in our ecosystem will be the new Cyremis. So we had the one written in PHP, which was somehow sponsored and maintained by Acipto, but it was using some old frameworks, and with PHP 8, it was hard to upgrade it. So the decision was to rewrite it, and we went for the Go language with the Bootstrap web UI. It's kind of functional, not well tested. It should be easy to add support for management of new database tables. So you don't have to write code in Go for management of a new table. You have to describe that table in some JSON. What are the columns, the types, some transformation you want to do to the values. Similar to the old one. You can also print some charts. So again, it's early phase, a few months, but the last one I didn't have time to spend on it. But if one wants to use it, should be good to go. Some enhancements to CamCLI that for a long time we tried to replace CamCTL, but we are not there yet. But if you need this feature like tab completion, history, suggestion from the previous comments, this is a very nice command line tool for Kamailio. Then for those that have to deal with the identity, the stir shaken, I'm pointing to my project also on the Acipto, the SEC ID. We have another module in Kamailio, but I'm not sure how much it's maintained. The developer is not that active using lib stir shaken, that's C1. Here the library is in Go, but thanks to Victor, everything is packaged. So if you use Ubuntu Debian, you can install this from packages. You don't need to compile the library yourself. Besides the library that is used by Kamailio module, you have some command line tool that you can use for testing this stir shaken, as well as running as REST API server that gives you the stir shaken validation or the identity header. So I know that US, Canada, and started to Europe in some countries, maybe some variations, but it's getting here as well. UK and France, I think, they push towards this. Resources for our project. Most of you probably know about them, just to wrap up. And once again, thanks to our sponsor making it possible to run again and have many sessions from people working with Kamailio or with other projects or technologies in real-time communication. Last year, hopefully, we'll be able to celebrate it. We missed the 20th anniversary because it was pandemic. We did some online event, but next year maybe we can make it a little bit more like an on-site party for this project developed for 20 years next year. So thank you for coming again, and by that supporting the event, by your presence, not only sponsors but the attendees make the event very important and valuable. To the speakers, of course, that they take the time to share their knowledge and travel here. So a big thank for everyone that is here and supports the event. Thank you.